Hey YouTube, this is J&T Customs. I'm Jay.
I'm T.
And how are you doing? Alright, hello YouTube. Welcome to this episode of J&T Custom Creations. In this episode, we're going to continue building our bumper. You can see that we've gotten this far on it already. What we've also done is we have marked up. I've done some sanding on our original bumper. Now we're going to cover this in tin foil and we're going to fiberglass this section here. So, okay. What we've done is we finished our mock-up. So we built this side here you saw us build this side. Okay, so we finished this side, we wrapped it around, we finished this side over here, and we started to put this together. Now, what I did was, I said, okay, now that I have this basic form, now I need to build up on my form. But I sat there and I said, you know what, let's try to fiberglass over the original bumper, and that'll save me half the time. So what I did was I fiberglassed half of the bumper. All right, so we don't waste material. I fiberglassed half of the bumper here from this section all the way over there. And I said, let's see how well it performs with getting it off the bumper itself. So now I can take this and do the same thing down here, fiberglass this guy here, and then fuse these two pieces together. And actually what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece here on top of this. We'll take this off on top of this, and then what I think we'll do is we'll then build the top piece, okay, the upright and the top piece. So we'll actually build this in three pieces, okay. So right now what I'm doing is I'm getting the front, what you see, done. The back will be cut, and then we'll just fuse it together with some upright pieces, and then it'll be one piece. Okay, and covering the back. So, because we don't want to make this too heavy, all right. But we also want to make it pretty durable too. Okay. So right now, what we have here is we have two layers. We have one layer of mesh fiberglass, which is this stuff. Okay, so fiberglass mesh. That's this stuff here. And then we have, on top of that, one layer of woven fiberglass, okay? And I'll leave these in the description below so you can actually see what materials we used, okay? This mesh is thicker than this, all right? So right now we probably have 3/32 stick worth of material on here now. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand this down smooth. Now, every time, a couple things about fiberglass if you don't know. Fiberglass, every time that you put a layer on, unless it's tacky, you need to sand it down. Otherwise, it won't stick to it, okay? My recommendation to you is that you wait for it to dry and then sand it down, okay? And then put on your next layer, all right? Here's what we did. We put tin foil. So I spray glued tin foil on this, all right? And we'll show you how to do that when we do this side over here, okay? But what we did was we took the tin foil and we spray glued it to the bumper, and we tried to pull it off, just, you know, at that moment, okay? Now, the first thing we did was we took our mesh, okay, and we used the green tape and we just fiberglassed over that, thinking that it was going to release from the bumper, okay? Well, it did release, kind of, sort of, all right, but it cracked, all right? So this cracked everywhere and it also tore, okay? So test one, fail. So that didn't work. Then we said, okay, let's do this. Let's put on our section here, okay, what I did was we wrapped this around, okay? We put it on the tin foil. This actually is part of this, like this. And now that is actually the fiberglass piece. Now, when I'm done, this will get fiberglass together. I'll put some ridges in here to make it sturdy, and then this will get fiberglassed over, okay? So, it worked better. All right, so the tin foil came off in some spots. It stayed in other, and this worked better, okay? The fiberglass itself didn't crack. All right, now this is only the woven fiberglass and not a layer of mesh fiberglass on top of it, all right? So that's what this is, okay? So that worked pretty well. Now, some of you are gonna laugh. Some of you are gonna be like, okay, what kind of contraption is he doing? All right. Now, for $45 or more, you can buy a gallon of what's called release agent. Now, what does that mean? That means that fiberglass, okay, we covered this in tin foil, all right? The tin foil is thin enough where the epoxy will stick to it, okay? But it will also release fairly well, okay? But normally what you would do is you would put a release agent on top of that. All right, now there's several that you can use. You can use regular car wax, okay? And so you could grab some car wax from the store, and actually once you put the tin foil down, you can actually wax your piece. And then you can, ready for this, you can actually use hairspray and spray on top of that, the whole entire thing. Because for whatever reason, the chemicals that are in hairspray is a plastic base, and the fiberglass does not stick to it, okay? And that's why they also say use wax base, because the fiberglass doesn't stick to wax, okay? But it will maintain the shape, which is what we want to do, okay? So, aluminum foil, which is very hard to find, you know, most stuff is made out of tin now, but aluminum foil, polyester resin won't stick to. Epoxy will stick to that, okay? So you have epoxy resin and you have a polyester resin, okay? So we're using an epoxy resin because we're using if we're using a boat product for doing boats and stuff like that. This fiberglass works real well. I'll leave it in the description below, okay? And the epoxy works great, all right? So that's why I went with this. That's the rest of the wide body on the Mustang is that same material also, okay? So first thing I want to do is we're going to sand this down, all right? And then we're going to put one more coat of the fiberglass mesh on here, okay? And then that will cover this, and it'll have 3 layers of fiberglass, all right? So first thing first, that over there. All right, very important. When sanding fiberglass, use a respirator, okay? When you sand this stuff down, this is still particles of glass. You don't want that in your lungs. So you want to wear a respirator when you sand this down. You should also wear eye protection too, okay, when you sand this down. Before you go into your home, wherever you live, okay, take off your clothes, whatever is got the dust on it, okay? Remove that, because you don't want to put that in your house, on your furniture, okay, because it's fiber, it's glass, okay? Physical pieces of glass. So you don't want to get that in your skin, you don't want to eat it, you don't want to get it in your lungs either, all right? So very important with fiberglass. So I'm gonna put the respirator on, and then I gotta grab a set of goggles and then go to town. Okay, so we're just gonna sit here and sand this down and go from there. This is ready for our next layer of fiberglass on top of this, okay? And we'll talk about, we're gonna take a break, and then what I'll do is I'll tell you about the release agent that I used. Like I said, you could use hairspray and car wax, okay? You can buy the expensive, 1 gallon is like $50 or more, depending upon the release agent that you get. You could do that, but we are still building on a budget. So this is how we did it and how you can do it in your own garage too. All right? So with that, I'm gonna hit pause, and we will, when we come back, we'll cover this up with the next layer of fiberglass and go from there. All right? Be back.